Full-size pickups are the best-selling vehicles in the US. With a ton of models to choose from, each with varying capabilities, it's easy to see why. Now, if your needs exceed the typical full-size trucks, there's the heavy-duty class of rigs, and alongside the top-selling F-150 is Ford's Super Duty class. That includes this, the 2025 F-250. Before we get into this full review, do us a favor, hit those like and subscribe buttons below to get all of our latest content. This 4th generation F-250 debuted as a 2023 model, though the exterior changes were fairly minor. The easiest way to tell them apart is up front, with a slightly revised grille and headlights. As you can tell, it casts a very long shadow, measuring about 10 inches wider than the F-150. It also weighs more, tipping the scales closer to 7,000 pounds. Traditionally, heavy-duty pickups were the workhorses among vehicles, but nowadays, there's a vast array of trim levels to choose from. This particular one is one of the fancier platinum trim models that is positively luxurious on the inside, and we'll get to that in a bit. This truck also benefits from the Tremor package that gives it some serious off-road credentials. Now, this Tremor package is far from just an appearance package. For the $4,300, you get a locking rear differential, limited slip front diff, upgraded suspension with taller ride height, all-terrain tires, underbody skid plates, a different air dam up front for better ground clearance, off-road running boards, a rock crawl drive mode, and trail control cruise control. Under the giant hood of the Super Duty is the available 6.7-liter turbo diesel that's good for 500 horsepower and an impressive 1,200 pound-feet of torque. It's supported by another 475 horsepower turbo diesel, as well as 2 gasoline V8s that produce 405 or 430 horsepower. All models come with a 10-speed automatic transmission, and all but the base XL trim comes standard with 4-wheel drive. Towing is one of the main reasons to step up to the heavy-duty truck class, and the F-250 is the leader. It can pull up to 22,000 pounds with a standard hitch, or 23,000 if you go with a gooseneck fifth wheel. That's about as much as a municipal bus or a fully grown African elephant. At this level, you may have to consider getting a commercial driver's license if you're towing near its capacity. These maximums can get confusing, so make sure your particular choice can handle your needs. For example, crew cabs weigh more and will reduce the towing capacity, as will some off-road modifications. But how does this all come together on the road? Let's find out. A lot of times you'll hear us compliment some of the larger vehicles by saying it drives like a much smaller vehicle. That's not the case with this. You feel all of the weight, and it is wide. It takes up the entire road. On a windy road like this, it's like threading the needle. So you kind of have to be on your game the whole time. The steering is also kind of vague, which is typical for a heavy-duty truck. But on the highway, that can be a little annoying because, well, it tends to wander within its lane. And I tried using the lane keep assist to help with that, but unfortunately it tended to cheat towards the left side of the lane, so I was constantly putting pressure to keep it towards the center and off to the right. So that kind of negated that whole advantage. Otherwise, it's comfortable. You know, it's a heavy-duty pickup, and we don't have anything hooked up to the tow hitches or anything in the bed, so it's a little bouncier than most people would experience. But it's really not that bad. It's much better than previous versions of the Super Duty. When it comes to power though, wow, this thing really gets up to speed well. With authority too. I mean, you put your foot down and it just starts breathing heavy and moving. And it's impressive how quickly this big of a truck can get up to highway speeds. Now, with a diesel, you do hear a little bit of that clatter, but it's nothing like what we used to hear 20 years ago. It's pretty quiet. It's not too far off from the gas V8s. Handling-wise, well, it's pretty much what you expect. It's a giant truck that weighs a ton, so yeah, it's not something you want to go bombing into the corners with. But on a road like this, it feels stable. It doesn't feel too out of sorts. It just feels oversized for where we are. As far as the brakes go, they instill a decent amount of confidence. They'll grab on real hard, and if you're towing something huge, and definitely if you're towing your capacity, they will do the job. Overall, there's not a whole lot to say driving-wise for a heavy-duty pickup, and that's probably a good thing because there's nothing that's standing out to me as bad for the class. Overall, it's a well-rounded, easy truck to drive as long as you have the space for it. There is no denying that this truck is absolutely huge, and with these elevated running boards for off-roading, it creates a little more effort for me to get in and out. Well, thankfully, There is a nice grab handle here, but that's a massive step up. So I just kind of swing myself in and then over, and thankfully there's enough clearance over the head so I don't bunk my head on the roof. Now, in keeping with this oversized theme, it's positively big on the inside too. I mean, I have a ton of lateral space, but fortunately not too much lateral space. Like the last generation Ford Explorer, I thought that they were so far apart that I didn't have any place to put my elbows. But this, it seems perfect. And where my elbows do come into contact, it's nicely padded. And visibility is excellent. And that's especially true because we're so high up. It's pretty amazing looking over the tops of full-size trucks. In this top platinum trim, you pretty much have all the bells and whistles. These seats are both heated, ventilated, and have a massage function. And the massage is pretty decent. It gives a nice little kneading in your back or in your posterior. Now, these seats are also padded for long distance comfort. I mean, it feels like a couch. It's just kind of flat and cushy. And yeah, I mean, it's really relaxing to sit in the seat. And that kind of comfort is really important when you can go more than 500 miles on a full tank. The overall design theme is pretty chunky and industrial, which is fitting for a Super Duty truck. But there's also some really nice luxury treatments too. I mean, the quilted upholstery is super nice. The materials they're using on the dashboard are also really unique, like this fine wire mesh that they're using on the dash here. And then on top of the dash, we also have this nice leather dash topper. Now, elsewhere, we do have a premium audio system from Bang & Olufsen, but so far I haven't been too impressed by it. I've noticed that the highs get a little distorted at higher volumes, but the bass is decently punchy. And now we'll get into the endless array of features for a Super Duty truck. We'll start with the top. And right up here we have an automatic exhaust brake, and that helps to maintain your speed going downhill so you don't have to ride your brakes or even downshift into a lower gear. Right here is one of my favorite features that have shown up in the last few years, and it's their Pro Trailer system. Now, I always get super nervous when I have to back up a trailer, especially one that's huge. But this takes all the guesswork out. You essentially put it in reverse and steer with this knob, and it just figures out how to make it all happen for you. That makes it a lot easier for me, because that means I don't have to drive around the block because I'm too lazy to back it into a spot. We also have an integrated trailer brake here, and here you have the typical 4 high, 4 low, 4-wheel drive settings, but also a trail turn feature. It makes it so you can kind of make a sharper turn when you're on a narrow trail. Now, in this trim, we have a wireless phone charger here, and it holds the phone in pretty nicely, and it's really easy to just drop it in. You don't have to be too precise with the placement. Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are wireless and standard. Now, there is a ton of storage here for all of your personal effects. We have this pretty decently sized bin here, 2 large cup holders, and this little divider that you can slide back and forth to either hold your phone a little better or whatever you need. And then there's this cavernous center console bin. Wow, I mean, I'm pretty sure I can put my carry-on luggage in there. Door pockets are plentiful and large. You can easily put some of the larger Nalgene flasks in there, but you also have some nice little pockets here. And if that's not enough, you have 2 rather small-sized glove boxes. Now, of course, as a heavy-duty pickup truck, towing is paramount, and this has all your bases covered. In addition to all these doodads that I mentioned earlier, there are also some on-screen items that really come in handy. One is a tire pressure monitoring system for your trailer's tires, so if you're running low, it'll keep you a little safer. It'll at least let you know if you have a slow leak. You also get some specialized cameras for the trailer. Thankfully, you also have several other trail cameras that help you when you're off-roading. So it takes all of that guesswork out too, whether it's from the side, the back, or wherever. There's even a nice hitch view, so it makes it easier to hook up your trailer. Now, Super Duty trucks also live their lives a lot on work sites, and this PowerPoint here is especially helpful if you have a laptop you want to keep juiced up. And for more heavy-duty users, we have these built-in auxiliary switches for lights or whatever accessories you can dream up. Plus, I just like overhead switches. I feel like I'm flying a plane. Now, if you're regularly going to be hauling passengers, the crew cab is the best choice. Just take a look at how much space I have back here. Now, I'm 5'10" sitting behind the driver's seat, and this driver's seat is actually pushed further back than how I would normally sit. And yeah, I've got tons of legroom, tons of space under the seat for my feet, and just a little bit of headroom before it starts touching the rail of the sunroof here. I'm also slightly elevated, so I get a nice view out the front, and there's just enough thigh support as well, so I don't feel like my knees are always up in my chest. Now, there's no way you're gonna be dehydrated back here either. You have a cup holder here, 2 large cup holders here, more storage in the door, and 2 more cup holders in the center. Now here in the center console we have 2 USB-C charge ports, heated outboard seats. We don't have separate climate control, but we do have vents, so that'll be really nice on a long road trip. And you also have this household power outlet to keep all your other devices charged up. Now with these Super Duties, you also have additional storage underneath the seats, but the seats also will stay up, so if you need some extra room for a mountain bike or something that you don't want to store in the bed, it's a perfect place for it. So it's obviously very spacious back here, but the sensation of space is enhanced by this massive panoramic sunroof. Really opens things up. And helping matters back here too is the materials quality is almost as nice as the front. We have the same kind of quilted material in the door panels and soft touch materials. With the F-250, you have the choice of this 6 3/4 foot bed or an 8-footer. But one thing I really like from these top trims is a power tailgate. Man, it's so much more civilized than just slamming down like that. And as a Ford, they still have the man step, which I think is still a really great addition, especially for me, because I'm starting to get a little achy. And it really just helps you get in and out of the bed really easily. On top of that, I'm also a fan of this tonneau cover that costs about $2,200. Look at that. That is convenience. Now, that box does take up a little bit of space at the front of the bed, but I think it's a pretty decent sacrifice considering the convenience of having a secure place to store stuff and to keep stuff out of the rain elements. This model also has the Pro Power onboard system, so you have 2 kilowatts of power here for whatever you need, power tools, blenders, DJ equipment, whatever you can think of. Another good touch is they have trailer connections here and down by the regular hitch. As far as hauling goes, the F-250 maxes out at 4,200 pounds, but most trucks that people are buying are going to range between 3,000 and 4,000 pounds. And helping to eliminate some of the guesswork from hauling or towing is there's an optional onboard scale system that will tell you how close you are to the limit. Now, the other part of my favorite power tailgate is that it goes up too. I don't like exerting myself, and that to me just says luxury. Now, also helping matters is when you need to get in and out of the bed and maybe the tailgate is full with stuff, you have this handy step here, as well as some nice handholds that are built into the bed. I also like this side step way back here that helps you get kind of into the head of the truck. Prices for the F-250 Super Duty start around $47,000 for the base rear drive XL trim. Now that's a pretty decent price considering its capabilities. Now the one we have here is almost as expensive as they come. This top platinum trim starts closer to 80 grand, and with the optional red paint, the $13,000 diesel upgrade, the trimmer package, and the tonneau, this example will set you back $108,000. Throughout the lineup, it's competitively priced against the Chevrolet Silverado HD and GMC Sierra HD Twin, as well as the Ram 2500. Though on the top end, the F-250 can squeeze you for more money, so be sure to keep an eye on those options because that price will keep skyrocketing. The Ford can tow more than the competition, which is likely the deciding factor for a lot of shoppers. Now, helping to push potential owners in their direction, the F-250 is a better all-around truck with smart tech features and balanced driving manners. The Ram holds an advantage for its classier interior and smoother ride. So if you don't need as much towing prowess, that might be a solid alternative. And that begs the question, would you go for the Ford Super Duty? Or perhaps check out the Chevy, GMC, or Ram alternatives? Let us know in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit those like and subscribe buttons below, and we'll see you in the next review.